Testing, testing. Just to confirm, Nadia, can you just go tuck that mic real fast? Just like, yeah.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, check, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
No, I think it is. Yeah. Are you getting audio? Yeah. She's looking at a cruise, right? So going to Ensenada, and I'm like, you need a passport. She's like, we're just gonna go look around. I'm like, you need a passport to get on the boat. Okay. So I need Hey Chris, can you get some wet paper towels?
We can start the live stream on my personal video.
Okay, lead time press for you?
Yep.
And then you work?
Yep.
Okay.
And then you're going to move that over to internal.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, then, that'll be right at,
Input 1. Oh, input 2 is mine. That's why.
wait, on my, move it to my computer or just get it? Yep. I love it.
I'll plug that in here. Wait.
Yeah.
Well, I do. This can't. Yeah. Yes? Oh, I don't have it. No. You have headphones. Not even on that.
Yeah. And I'm sending it to Ivan. Yep. You're kidding.
Hey,
Yep, it's it.
yeah,
It's
no, we
right
had
here.
a while back. I don't know if you guys go check that.
Yeah. I don't know if I got
But she can't fix this on her laptop right here. She can't plug anything into. They forward it to you.
The snackers, it's right here.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So nobody trips.
It is. Oh, okay. I'll
Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2, 3. Check, check.
Sync successful. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
We're at 3/4.
Yep. Check 1, 2. Texting. What? Texting, not texting. Testing. Here we go. Test. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2.
Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear my question?
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, check, check, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Good.
Mic check 1 2. Testing 1 2 3. Check check 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Wireless handheld microphone. We're good. Okay. Yeah, we got the podium world as well. You want to do a mic check? Okay. Okay, Carlos, can you do a podium check?
Testing, testing, 1 2 3. Testing, testing, 1 2 3. Check, check, testing.
Got it. Thanks. Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Keith Jeffries. I'm the TSA Federal Security Director, responsible for TSA operations here in the Los Angeles area. Thank you all for being here for this extremely important event in the history of TSA and LAX. Today, we're announcing that TSA has begun using technology to detect, track, and identify drones entering restricted airspace around LAX. This is just the second airport in the country to have this capability in place. We have a list of distinguished speakers who will talk more about the milestone, its impact on aviation and security, and why it's taking place here in Los Angeles. Our first speaker today is Stacey Fitzmaurice, the senior official performing the duties of Deputy Administrator for TSA. In this role, she oversees some of TSA's most critical programs designed to protect the nation's transportation systems and the traveling public. This includes the agency's intelligence and threat assessment functions, as well as developing multimodal transportation security policy, just to name a few. Previously, Stacey managed TSA's domestic security operations, where she oversaw airport checkpoint baggage and air cargo screening operations at more than 440 airports nationwide. Please welcome Stacey Fitzmaurice.
Thank you, Keith. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today. TSA takes the threat of drones very seriously. Unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS, present a growing challenge to transportation security, and we must remain proactive and vigilant in developing capabilities and countermeasures to address that risk. Congress granted TSA the authority to test technologies that detect, track, and identify UAS that encroach on restricted airspace around an airport. We are excited to highlight that we are expanding our efforts to confront this threat by adding LAX as the second test bed for our UAS activities. The airport's passenger volume, operational environment, and UAS vulnerability make LAX a natural choice for this test bed. Today is another great step in the journey to ensuring we are prepared to protect the American people from this emerging threat to our transportation system. And naturally, we cannot do this alone. We are pleased to have Chairwoman Roybal-Allard and Chairwoman Waters here with us today. Congress has been an important ally in keeping our transportation system secure and fighting to ensure that our frontline personnel receive equitable pay and have the technology and resources they need to meet the evolving threats. Chairwoman Roybal-Allard and Chairwoman Waters' attendance today reinforces Congress's commitment to meeting this emerging threat. TSA deeply appreciates the assistance of Chairwoman Roybal-Allard and the entire House Appropriations Committee for supporting the department and TSA's efforts to meet the current and future challenges associated with UAS. They have also enabled us to create innovative security solutions through the reimbursable screening services program, which includes the private suites pilot here at LAX. For 30 years, Chairwoman Roybal-Allard has championed for her constituents in California's 40th Congressional District and the nation at large, and has been a role model and a trailblazer as the first Mexican-American woman elected to Congress. She has had an impressive career in the House, including distinguishing herself as the first Latina to serve as one of the 12 cardinal chairs of the House Appropriations Committee. I want to congratulate Chairwoman Roybal-Allard on a distinguished career in Congress and thank her for her tremendous support that she has provided to TSA. Please join me in welcoming Chairwoman Roybal-Allard.
Thank you for your very, very kind introduction. I'm truly thrilled to be here for the announcement that the Counter Unmanned Aircraft System Technology Testbed, only the second in the nation, will be here at LAX. My sincere thanks to Stacy Fitzmaurice, TSA's Acting Deputy Administrator, Keith Jeffries, the LAX Federal Security Director, Jim Vanberger, TSA's USA's Detection Technology Manager, and of course, Justin Hirabachi, CEO of LAWA, for inviting me and for providing us with an update on this critical technology to be tested here at LAX. Following the successful establishment of the first CUAS testbed at Miami International Airport, it is most appropriate that that LAX is part of this test program. After TSA's review of factors such as geography and passenger volumes, I was very excited to learn TSA had selected LAX for this program to direct, track, and identify drones encroaching restricted airspace. Well, I was more than pleased to work to include funding in the fiscal year 2021 Homeland Security Appropriations Act for a second CUAS testbed. Today's success would not have been possible without the help and support of LAX officials, including the Chief of Airport Police, Cecil Rambo. Like many rapidly changing technologies, UAS technology, often referred to as drones, offer benefits and risks. We have seen these systems used for benign things, such as wedding photographs, enhancing news coverage, and simply as recreational hobby. As chairwoman of the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee, I have also seen how UAS technology is used by many DHS agencies to carry out critical missions. This includes the use by CBP for border security activities, the Coast Guard for maritime safety and security missions, and FEMA for post-disaster assessments with its state and local partners. However, the increased use of UAS technology has risks both inadvertent and malicious. The most obvious risk to our airports and the traveling public is the difficulty pilots have seen and avoiding drones while flying. The mere sight of a drone at an airport can cause significant disruption. Last month, for example, Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. was shut down for 30 minutes when a drone was sighted near the airport. Regrettably, that incident is not an anomaly. According to DHS, there have been 2,000 drone sightings near airports since 2021. Developing the CUAS technology is essential to protect our airports and the flying public from the risks. In closing, I would like to highlight that the CUAS technology to be tested at LAX is also a wonderful example of the value of cooperation among federal and all levels of government. TSA, for example, is a co-chair of the CUAS working group, consisting of over 30 government agencies working together to develop a common, coordinated strategy and process to develop CUAS test projects and to share the information with all stakeholders and the public at large. Many of the agencies working with TSA in developing the specific test bed, including its siting and installation, are here today. To all of you, I extend my most sincere congratulations and thanks for your efforts and hard work on behalf of the flying public and our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Roybal Allard. We thank you for your support and for your leadership of this project. We are pleased to have Chairwoman Maxine Waters with us this morning. She is a reliable partner with the LAX community, which is in the congressional district that she represents. Please join me in welcoming Chairwoman Waters.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. And I'm also honored to acknowledge Congresswoman Roybal Allard, my colleague for many years, not only in the Congress of the United States, but we were also in the California State Assembly together. I'd like to also thank Justin Hirabachi, the Chief Executive Officer of Los Angeles World Airports, and all of the LAWA officials who have joined us here today, and all of the additional TSA officials who are joining us here this morning. I'm proud to be here with all of you. We're here to celebrate TSA's selection of LAX to test the state-of-the-art technology to detect, track, and identify drones that are encroaching on restricted airspace. I've always known and certainly considered LAX to be an important economic engine and a job creator for my congressional district and for the entire South California region. Consequently, I'm a strong supporter of the efforts to make LAX a safe, modern, and thriving airport while balancing the needs of the airport with the needs of the surrounding communities. Developing technology to detect drones that are encroaching on restricted airspace is clearly consistent with these goals. Drones can pose a serious risk for air travel safety and security, especially if they're flown too close to planes, air traffic control systems, or other aviation or surface transportation facilities. Furthermore, when drones interfere with air travel safety, they can also threaten the safety of the surrounding communities. That's why I've been and continue to be a strong advocate for drone detection technology, and I'm immensely pleased that LAX will now have an opportunity to host TSA's drone detection program. Last fall, I joined my colleagues in Congress to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, and I was proud to join President Biden at the White House when he signed this important bill into law. This bill provided $25 billion to modernize our nation's airports, including $79 million for LAX. I was so proud to support the American Rescue Plan Act, which was signed into law by President Biden less than 2 months after he was sworn in as president, and which provided $8 billion for American airports to respond to the coronavirus pandemic. LAX received more than $303 million, including $267 million to support airport operations and $36.8 million to support the small business concessionaires who create jobs and provide services for LAX passengers. I've also fought for many years to secure noise mitigation assistance for the families who live near LAX, including more than $21 million last year for residences in the cities of Los Angeles, Inglewood, and El Segundo, and the unincorporated communities of Lenox, Athens, and Del Air. Now, TSA's effort to test technology that will detect, track, and identify drones will enhance air travel safety at LAX and airports throughout the United States. I'm so proud again that LAX was chosen to test this critical technology. And thank you all very much.
We wouldn't be able to announce what's taking place today without the backing of Los Angeles World Airport and its CEO, Justin Hirabachi. Justin has oversight of operations at Los Angeles International Airport and Van Nuys General Aviation Airport. With more than 20 years of executive leadership experience, he's committed to working with key stakeholders to bring the innovation to LAWA's vast operations. Justin's vision over 4 years ago, immediately following drone activity in another part of our world, he asked me the question, what can we do? Justin, today's announcement is an example of your commitment to TSA, our strong partnership, and more importantly, our friendship. Please welcome CEO Justin Hirabachi.
Thank you very much, Keith, and thanks for being such an incredible partner to LAWA and to LAX. Under your leadership, there's no question in all of our minds here at LAWA that we have the best TSA team in the country, bar none. We're very thankful for the relationship and thankful so much for your decades of leadership in TSA in general, but also here. You're leaving an incredible legacy behind, and we're sorry to see you go. And we're very grateful for the overall close relationship and partnership that we have with TSA and the Department of Homeland Security overall, as well as for the great support of our congressional representatives, Chairwoman Roybal-Allard and Chairwoman Waters. Thank you very much. These relationships have really paved the way for LAX to become an official TSA innovation airport, which means we are among few airports in the United States to help develop, test, and to deploy new technologies with TSA that enhances the security and the efficiency of our airports. From biometric identification, automated credential verification at TSA screening areas, to the latest bag scanning equipment, and the ability for our guests to reserve time at TSA checkpoints, LAX has served as a key proof of concept for many technologies that are changing how people experience airports for the better. And today we are doing it yet again. We're really thrilled to have the opportunity to test this very important system for detecting unauthorized drone and potentially very dangerous drone activity, and then share what we've learned here through this with the rest of our airports throughout the country to make our skies overall safer for the public. But this program really would not have been possible if it wasn't for Chairwoman Roybal-Allard, who pushed to ensure LAX was chosen for this program. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. Appreciate that. And thank you for securing us this technology as only one of 2 airports that are designated to test this technology. And of course, I'd also like to recognize again our very own congressional representative, Chairwoman Waters, who consistently has supported all of our efforts here to not only bring the best technology to our airports, but also to help us do everything we are doing to help transform our airports to make them really world-class airports in the world. Thank you, Chairwoman Waters, for your partnership and for sharing our commitment to make this community that you represent safer for all of our passengers and for the surrounding residents. We additionally want to thank TSA's acting administrator, David Pekoski, and the Biden administration for their unwavering support of safety and security of our nation's airports and transportation infrastructure. As the 5th largest airport in the world right now and growing, and with 48 million passengers using LAX last year, we're the ideal test location for this new drone technology system. Here, this equipment can be put to use to test and make sure it functions under the most rigorous conditions and within our very complex and busy airspace. At LAX, we closely track reports from pilots of drones in our protected airspace, Last year, we had 50 drone sightings that were reported. And so far this year, we've had 38 drone sightings within a 10-mile radius of the airport. We all know drones pose a very clear and present danger to airport security, and the airports need more tools to help them deal with this ever difficult threat. Whether a drone operator is naive or acting maliciously, we know any incident where a drone comes in contact with an aircraft, whether accidental or purposeful, can be devastating to our airports, to our passengers, and to our communities. Securing our airspace is a priority that we share with our TSA partners. We are totally invested in the success of this test pilot. What we learn here will be shared with airports across the country to better protect our airports and to help prevent drone incursions in the future. We want to thank you for allowing LAX to be part of this innovative partnership. Thank you very much.
TSA is fortunate to have a committed workforce that has worked with private sector partners and government agencies to develop the technology we're focusing on today. This effort's been led by Jim Vanberger, who currently oversees TSA's UAS efforts, leading program managers and technical experts in their development of programs to protect surface and airport infrastructure. Jim works closely with federal and private sector partners to help address transportation security vulnerabilities. He's an expert when it comes to UAS detection matters. Please welcome a dedicated public servant and my friend as well, Jim Vanberger.
Thanks, Keith. You know, everybody said it very well in different ways, but this would not even be close to possible without the support of the people you see sitting here in the front row. And I know we said it, but I just want to say it again, because my job is the job that comes down to operations, to actually selecting technology and deploying it. But before I could even think about coming here, I would need the support from Congress. So Chairman Roybal Allard, Chairman Waters, I want to just thank you, because that is the liftoff point. That's the starting point. And if we don't have the support of Congress, we can't even take the next step. And then the next step would be my own agency for supporting me, for giving me this opportunity to be able to do this. And then it comes down to locals, right? You have Keith Jeffries, the FSD, Mr. Hirabachi, the CEO of the airport, Cecil Rambo, the chief of police. I couldn't see, and I travel a lot of airports around the United States. This partnership, this collaboration, and I think that the chairwoman said it best, this will set us up for success. I feel very confident that I'm stepping into an area that's already preset with the collaboration that we need, the partnerships that we have to have this thing be successful. And Justin said it very nicely. The information we get here doesn't just support LA. This supports every federalized airport nationwide. So, you know, we started with Miami, but I cannot think of a more diverse airport when it comes to enplanements, passenger volume, cargo, activity. We see it here behind us today. Try to talk around it, but it's nonstop. My hotel overlooks the airport, and in the middle of the night, I'm seeing operations. So this is a 24/7 operation, and it deserves and needs a 24/7 security when it comes to technology. And we're going to help with that. We're going to provide a tool that helps with that. So I can't think of a better place to test technology, learn from it, validate it and verify it, and then determine if it's effective and suitable to not only detect, track, and identify drones, but then help us with all the other airports nationwide. And I'll just tell you, when we selected LAX, I had a lot of people say, wow, that's a really big airport. Why are you going there? That's going to be hard. I said, well, just because it's hard, it's not a reason not to do it. But if it works in LA, it's going to pretty much work everywhere. And I know I stole that from New York, but it applies here. So that's going to help us with all the other airports. So that's a main reason why we're here. I'm going to get to what we're actually seeing. So I prepared today, with the help of Chief Rambo and his staff, some visuals of what actually the operator will see from this drone detection technology. So I could talk about it all day long, and if you want to move on that video screen right there, I'm going to show about a 2.5-minute video, and feel free to move if you want a better seat. I know I'm old and my eyes aren't that great, so if anybody wants to get closer, feel free. But I'm going to move over there and explain to you, that's the actual interface. That's what an operator will see. So the equipment is great. It's technologically advanced, but the value to the operator is what I'm going to step over there and show you. And then don't worry, this will be available to you on a link. So if you missed anything, I'm going to move rather quickly. There's a lot of data. If you missed anything, Lori Dankers for Public Affairs is going to make the link to this video available to all of you. So you'll be able to play it at will if you would like to. So now I'm going to step over. Is this okay? And I'm going to walk through. This is something that's called the Android Tactical Assault Unit. It is the interface. It's the visual. This can be the data that we get from the technology can be pushed to a cell phone, a tablet, a command and control center, any mobile device. It's secure. It's cyber hardened. So it's only for us to see or for us to give to a user with a need to know. So it cannot be intercepted, is another way of saying it. So don't start. So once we go through it, I'm going to move quickly because it's on a loop. I can't pause it. So I'm going to try to just hit the highlights. When I'm finished, I can answer. I'm going to go over here to give you some more information on it in a still form. And like I said, this will be available to you. So if you could hit play, I'll try to keep up. So yesterday, from this location, Chief Rambo's unit actually flew this drone from right here. And we flew it up and around the airport and used it as a way to describe and show you the data that you're going to see on the Android Tactical Assault Unit or the handheld device. So we operated it here. We flew not into the airport, but around the airport. This is being pushed to a mobile unit. So any laptop, any handheld can see it. Right here, you're going to see a drone appear. That's our drone. So as soon as the drone gets connection from the operator, it shows up anywhere within the radius that we're detecting. That's the airport's location. We can set an alert zone anywhere we want, 1 mile, 3 mile, as far out as 10 miles. You're going to get information from the device, like the lat and long, the serial number of the drone, the ID number of the drone, the altitude, the speed, where it took off from, where it landed, its route, where the operator is or where the controller is. And then you can see a handheld operator getting that data or a handheld unit getting that data. We can set the geofence up anywhere we want. Anytime we select a drone, any drone in our view, we get a menu of all other kind of information that we want to be able to get. So we can access any kind of information on the drone or the controller. We can set up the geofence for, let's say, a mile, and any drone that penetrates that mile distance or 3 mile distance will create an alert. So we create our own alert zone, and it will detect anything coming into that alert zone and give us an alert so we can be aware of that. Now you're going to see the actual track of the drone. So we selected this drone. We see its different tracks. We see where it's going. Now we're actually seeing what the drone sees. So if the drone has a camera, we can see the video feed from the drone itself. So the track of the drone, where it goes, what it's seeing, we capture all that. And then we capture it on a device. We can record it. We can replay it historically. And now here it is coming back to its operation. What's interesting is these drones, these cameras are very high res. So the ability for them to see using the cameras is quite phenomenal. So I think that's where it ends. But I tried to keep up, but there's a lot of data that this tablet gives us. And as we collect this data, we will make that available to the police department, to the airport authority, to TSA, and share that with all our government partners. The Congress women both mentioned our working group. over 30 government agencies who are all involved, have a responsibility to protect against drones. We share the data with them. They share the data with us. So we have a full force multiplier with 30 government agencies, including DOD, FAA, Department of Justice, Bureau of Prisons, all the DHS entities to share data. So we all benefit from this pilot inside the government, and we benefit from the work they're doing. The bottom line is the stakeholder benefits from that collective. So I'm going to walk over here and just give you a little more info because I know that went quickly. This shows a still of the interface. These are all the drones it detects. These are notional tracks of drones. This is the drone we've selected. You can see what type of drone it is. You can see its altitude. You can see its speed. You can see the time, the flight duration, and then a lot more information on the side: flight path, detection, intrusion. If it intruded on our geofence, that highlights. This is actually a thermal image. What we're finding is no one system does everything. So we're looking at a system of systems approach. When you go through the checkpoint, there's just not one thing there. There's multiple things there. Same thing goes here. We have radar, we have electro-optical, we have acoustic, we have RF, radio frequency. All those are good at what they do. Combining them all together gives us the best layered approach to be able to detect all the different platforms, all the different types of drones that appear. So this is a thermal image that doesn't use RF, because if the drone is flying autonomously, there's no radio frequency signal, so we can use radar or thermal imaging to get a heat signature off it. So there are a lot of different ways that we can look at best of breed technology, combine those technology, get that information back to the user to help them better defend their airport. Thank you.
I have a ton of questions for you. Thank you to each of our speakers today for sharing your vision and support for this project. I think we can all agree the ability to detect, track, and identify drones is something to be excited about, and naturally LAX is leading the way. We're happy now to open it up for questions.
I'm John Baird, KNX. Just out of curiosity, when you make contact with these people who have been flying drones, are most of them just naive, or do they just don't care, or are they trying to get information? What are you finding?
Yeah, to understand the question, or to repeat the question, when we find that these folks are operating drones in a restricted airspace and inquire as to why they're doing that, are they just unfamiliar with it, or do they know what they're up to at that point? Is that your question, sir? Yeah, so what we found in the past, and of course, that is exactly the case. Most of them just don't know, and these are just folks having fun with a particular new toy that they've received. And thank goodness we haven't found anybody that has bad intentions up to this point, but we need to be prepared in the event that that happens. Yes.
Yeah. So this is just tracking the drone, but I believe, isn't there technology where it can like cease the operation of the drone, or?
So the question is this is just tracking technology? Does equipment exist that can actually take control of that drone and land it? So the answer to the first part is absolutely. This is tracking, and where we can see and identify where it's at. And as Jim explained very eloquently, there's some other things that we can identify about that user. Is there equipment that's out there that can do other things? Absolutely. And they are used for different events. It is not something that TSA uses. It is, there has to be legislation that is passed to make sure that that happens, but there are things that are being discussed at this point. But normally it's reserved for the Department of Defense and or the FBI for significant security events across the country or world for that matter. Yes, ma'am.
So am I to understand that if there is a drone that is suspicious of the tech country that should be in this area, that you have the ability to get that information to who?
Yes, ma'am. Chairwoman Waters' question is she to understand that currently, if we detect a drone equipment, a UAS device, and we can identify that it has bad intentions at that point, do we have the capability to notify other partners to take care of it? The answer is yes, we do have that. However, that response could be a little delayed depending on how fast we could get it there. So that's the concern that we're working through now.
So basically right now the approach is, as opposed to immediate reaction to a drone, gather information, then you use that to identify the user and convince them to stop using it.
Yeah, so the question is that right now it's to identify the user, and then we can track and find out more about that individual. The answer is yes, but it's very similar to what a traveling passenger does today. So if you have a passenger that travels frequently and different things occur from a security perspective, could that elevate them to a different type of screening down the road? The answer is yes. So that would be the same thing we would be capable of doing with the UAS systems and the detection capability. We just haven't seen that pattern just yet.
What are the repercussions for, I guess, the people flying the drones in the restricted airspace once you do track them down?
Yeah, the repercussions, the question is, what are the repercussions for those folks that are flying in restricted airspace? So obviously, depending on how egregious the event is, there will be the capability for local law enforcement and or federal law enforcement to reach out to them to at least inquire as to what their intentions were and find out what was going on. I couldn't hear. Can they be charged? Is that what I heard?
Can they be criminally charged even if they're just naive about it?
Can they be criminally charged? That's up to local law enforcement. That's a great question. I don't happen to know the answer. Chief may. I wouldn't have that answer. Could they be, if they were up to something that was more egregious for a security threat? The answer to me obviously would be yes. But if they were just naive and didn't know, I think it depends on who they are, what their background is. But again, the local law enforcement and the court system would have to handle that.
What are the, I guess, how serious is this a problem? I know Mr. Hirabachi mentioned 50 sightings last year, 38 this year. I think I also heard Ronald Reagan was shut down for a period of time. So what are the, I guess, what's been the effect of drone sightings here at LAX specifically?
So the question is, what has been the effect of drones on the impact of LAX? Knock on wood, we've been extremely lucky at this point, but the seriousness of what the capability of drones can do to not only LAX, but any airport or surface operation to disrupt that operation, it can have a huge economical impact. It can certainly have a security impact where if that drone was to fly, for example, in the path of these aircraft behind me as they're trying to land or take off, and a pilot having to divert, it's an extremely dangerous situation. So we've been lucky so far. Many of you in the media, I'm sure, especially here for Southern California, there's a lot of discussion on who is jetpack guy. There's discussions on whether or not it's a drone. I'll just leave that up for your imagination, but I will tell you that it gains everybody's concern, and it's a serious concern, so much so that through our great partnership that we have with LAWA, the law enforcement, the security and safety team here at the airport, we have a tactical response plan for that very purpose on how to respond to drones, whether it's a naive operator or not. And we take that to many different levels, and the emergency management team here at LAWA is really driving that home with all of our partners. So we are prepared as best as we can be. There's a lot of great discussions, but we cannot underscore enough how serious this drone issue is worldwide. Thank you all very much for attending today. Thank you all of our folks on the front row. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.